best of 12 scenario, Lauren, for $3.5 million. You just can't make a single mistake.
No, but we are playing with some of the titans of the game now. We can hold them to that standard, to that caliber of not making errors, to rise and hold under such monumental pressure. And also to you guys at home, tuning in around the world, those in Europe staying up to the wee hours in the morning, to the North American fans cheering for their teams who finally have some real champions to stand by, and the rest of the world who waits to watch as to who will walk away with the not only huge lion's share of the prize pool, but the pride and the title of the best in the world. It's a lot to be fought for, and we will be here for the first 2 games, so lock yourselves in. It will be ENG. No other way to start it off, really. The classic, of course. Rich, I don't know what to expect here.
There is no better way to say it apart from that we took the best 32 that were currently in the world. We looked across, we've had the leagues, we've had the structure, we've had the system. It's been put in place. It gives us our starting base for this tournament. It gives us the teams that we needed. We then run them through a dungeon gauntlet. There's no other way to describe it. Group stage, elimination stage, semi-finals. They've been through the ringer, they've been through the rounds, and now we're down to our very final 16. This will be the first time, in my personal opinion, where we can actually crown a real grand champion, the real best in the world.
There's no caveats anymore. There's no, well, there's some invited teams. Oh, it was third person. There's nothing. There's no excuses. It's
Same
who
rules.
turns up. Exactly. Same rules. Fair playing field. We've been waiting for this, and there's no more excuses. It's almost time now. The teams look phenomenal stepping out on that stage, but now they need the performance to match that. Who are you looking at here in game 1?
I'm looking at all 16 teams. It's as simple as that. You
Fair play.
cannot have a bad game, because if you do, you are putting yourself at the mercy of not raising that trophy by the end of it. You now have to play perfect PUBG, game for game, round for round, bullet for bullet. If you die, you are giving points away to your opponent. It's as simple as that. You're not just losing points, you're losing points to enemies. Everybody's going to be chasing your tail, chasing those points. Because there's a huge drop-off from first place to second. I know money's not all about everything, but there is a substantial difference.
Absolutely, and I look at FaZe and you think that Cinderella story through the semi-finals to make it in last place and make it to this stage, but there's no carriage waiting to take them to the ball anymore. There's not enough games for them to mess around with. TSM, for example, a team who caught my eye, came out firing in all cylinders. Rory, no longer the Cub. He's up in bear status with Break himself. He is playing out of his mind, and we need more of that. Gustav the same, all of them. Huge plays leading into this.
Across their 18 games, following all of these teams, TSM, they're actually second place if you do want to cut it down to fine points and finite systems as such. Every single team has a lot to lose, every single team has a lot to win, and it all begins now with game number 1.
It's time, the plane's in the air. Ladies and gents, strap yourself in for what is going to be an incredible display from southeast to the north. The plane is there, the players are dropping, and I'm seeing teams going back to original drop spots.
This is the thing now, we've lost all these, well, all of them. We've lost 16 teams. You can start to look at all the little mini players. You'll have the coaches, the analysis, the team leaders. Okay, let's take a look at the lay of the land and the map and where people have essentially opened up. FaZe Clan should be now back to home turf. We've lost a Freak of Freaks. That opens that system up. TSM, Milta for them, job done. Happy days, on the ground, bootstrapped in. We have to look at the Rumblers. Where will they drop now? Do they adjust themselves? Because, as Toffee spoke about on the desk, this is house money for them. This is big money. Every single place and advancement they go in this competition, their bank balance just gets a little bit bigger.
Yep, and eyes initially towards Entus Force, dropping down on the Millie Island themselves, going to have the first feet on the ground, boots on the ground, and going to get the loot building. Now, the circle will present, obviously, varying issues for wherever you drop, but for now, you're going to see everyone get to place. This looks like a little bit of a potential close fight to start with. This could be huge. Enters Ace on the other side, going to get the first glimpse, first bullets to come through, but no connections. Can they disengage? Can they find enough to find that first fight?
We'd expect them to disengage. Circle pops. We are going to Sosnovka, and for a team like Na'Vi that usually goes across the bridge, well, they have just bailed and said, you know what, let's get a good foothold on here. Let's get a good stronghold and a position. That's a prime bit of territory where they will be on the edge of that bridge that denies anyone else an entry point to come further afield. We'll pause on that and go back to this because we've got a little bit of a stalemate. Expect the passive play. Remember, with only 12 games in front of you, every single death puts you at a disadvantage. So you will expect these teams to kind of hold fire because survivability is key.
True, and it is a 3v2 in current scenario. Let's keep it as what it is. You've got Leo and Kane here for GEX up against Entis Ace, who have 3 of their players. Very light weaponry on both sides. You could argue GEX has the greater loot, but then again, these SMGs, they are potent and powerful up close and personal. So the Vector could do some damage. Reinforcements coming in. I'm pretty sure I saw Sophia potentially picking up maybe an M24 before. You can see the silent roll in, but it's been spotted. First shots come through the SLR. Handy at this point for Ace to pop off a couple of shots and try and keep things in mind here.
Comp on the front, but no real sight on the back. They're holding for now, and maybe Sophia's just looking for bait on a new angle.
That's a big angle, actually, for Sophia. So they've got a lovely little ridgeline there.
The VSS at this point will be...
24.
Remember, they shouldn't have armor, Lauren. They'll be lacking it, so initially, any shot to the head is going to put them on the floor.
Yeah, you can see Sophia being a little
How's
careful.
it going 3 times?
I'm glad that there's a bit of caution to this because I only see 3 players. So where is that 4th for Entis Ace? Low ground potential flank coming through. They're going to wind up the pressure. That could be contact on Leo.
That's the Warner.
Holding for now.
That's the Warner. This pushes them downwind now. They know they can't eject from the front of the building. It's a beautiful spot to take those ridges and now hold it with the 3. Not many scenarios will we be saying this, but the VSS, Lauren, it could be absolutely pivotal in this engagement.
100%. We saw a couple of players toying with it. Those early fights, it comes through because the armor is not there. And to say, there's the final player. I was wondering where their 4th currently was residing. We've located them. Just sending it to try and get towards the rest of the squad. Find a new angle to provide maybe some alleviation from this pressure, but you can see how tense this is for both sides. The Korean team trying to put all of their players in a good place, silently rolling up. A little bit of a 4-1-6, so does have the capability. Not sure what's on the back. You got the Mini. Very capable, well looted, 2'd up. That could be a big swing point here.
It's not reloaded. Please do it, because you're going to really upset me if not, if you do have to pull that out. Initial
Wait,
grenade.
first smokes, Rich. We do have a bit of a push in. Nade comes in. They're going for this.
Second
It looks like
one to you.
GX. There's the nade up towards the stairwell. Jai Wei moving in under the cover, under the supervision of Sophia in the back lines. Entis Ace ready for the breach. You can see the clear on the window. Jai Wei, first nade. Oh my god, it's a shotgun waiting on the other side. That could be decimation. But wait, still patient. The boosts come in. They're biding their time. Joy on the stairs, holding the angle. That's the first point of contact. And now we wait. K-Mine and H-Win having issues, but that's not interesting right now.
Sees it through the door.
Oh, goodbye! Say
Instantly
hello to the
disconnects, though.
shotgun. Wait, he holds the angle. 2 more shells ready to go, locked and loaded. Smoke still standing. Can GX recover? They can't enter anymore. They know that is a big resounding no. Shut the door, get out. This is my compound. Peeking around carefully. Another falls! GX being decimated and the flush from Joy.
The 686, he's gone for the flank while he's completely they're looking at this fight, so they're sending him after the sniper. That's amazing. If they take that out, that's their cover completely gone.
The UMP, if any time it's now, if any range, it's there.
Run,
and
Sophia,
Entis
run.
Ace are looking so good. ZGG found an engage towards Profi. That's beyond the point, Sophia. It might be time to back out. You have just lost. Oh, one more bullet will land. That could take them out of the game.
GX have lost everything. This has been an appalling start for them. Sophia's just bailing out to try and hold on for dear life. The engagement between Genesis and 4AM. It has been a bridge camp. I was watching it in the back. The rest of them, they're just pushing this in. We need to get across from here. We've lost 1. We've lost 2. 4AM, they've been damaged on transfer.
Profi has gone down for Genesis. They need to look to that beyond. But now you have to look at the island. Who's waiting? It's Na'Vi, the CIS Giants, the European champions, if you want to look at them in that way, have certainly held their own, but they hold the cross. They are the gatekeepers here on the other side.
That's brutal for 4AM, losing 2 players so early on.
But to send it on the bridge, what do you expect?
It's always dangerous. I mean, did they actually manage to get the confirmation onto one of the players? I don't think they did. So Genesis will be all 4 members back on their feet, and they're holding the bridge. The next victim could be Gen G. They're looming and lingering. The bullets will have given away some information. We'll show you the map so you can check in where all of our teams currently are. The Rumblers, well, they're in no man's land in the water. They will make landfall shortly. FaZe Clan, they've come across. on the opposing bridge, T1, I see them stopping. So maybe we see gridlock on both bridges here, either side of the island.
Yep, I'm glad to see the Rumblers taking the wider swing. I think FaZe might have gone for the same approach or an early rotation. I'm not too sure. They've already made it to the military island themselves. Genesis, it might be time for them to move. They don't want to be here any longer. They don't want to get caught in their own trap. And this is their initial movements. Landing in Pachinki, they had it to themselves. Nice for them, but it does seem as though when they make landfall, they could be getting some attention themselves.
I really like the smart play that Profi and his teammate have done. They've taken one of the boats and gone across the bridge from underneath. So it basically stops them being bottlenecked by a team on the opposing side. Covering both bases, it's really clever, it's really smart. This gives them a nice free point of entry. But they have to be aware, Gen G is setting up on the opposing side. What do they do here? Have they been too late? Are other teams in better positions for them? Or do they camp down on Gen G?
There's the first couple of bullets. Mini going to be switched to. Genesis might have just been warded away from potentially being picked up by Ragnar, who's waiting over by the yellow houses. Genesis going to stick to the coast and meet up with K-Mind and Profi and reconsolidate their roster. We do see the final couple of players making their way through. Sophia still way up in the north, but we'll touch on that later as SK Telecom T1 head over the bridge out on the east.
Uh-oh.
Lazarus.
Don't shoot. Don't give away your position.
They've already crossed. They're not going to do it. They're fine. They're safe. They're on the other side. Lazarus, I like the cautious approach. Meticulous, careful. And QM.
You know,
going for a dip.
You know it's rough times when you're just swimming. You'll always go for the little point on the opposing side of the island. It's the shortest route there. I'm surprised they've not got a vehicle, to be fair, and just rammed it off the cliffs. Give yourselves a bit more of a jump. There is time to do it, but... Oh, no, what? How
Pardon?
Well, that's not good.
Okay, I don't know what's happened, but what I know
Mistakes
is 4
were
a.m.
made.
We're already down to 2 players here, Rich, and they're about to be crept up on by Tempo Storm, and now here comes a bridge. Lazarus made it across, or have they? First engage, they make one man through Pody Cody. Oh no!
What?
Pody Cody's gone down, that's a huge... Oh, he just dodges it at her! Swift and Lazarus! Devastation for the North Americans, going down in last after what looked like they were being cautious and meticulous, have now just gifted T1 a huge upgrade in loot.
He pre-naded. He put a landmine down and it hit him. That's insanity. Well, the home crowd won't be too happy with that one. Topping the charts from the semi-finals coming into this and going out in 16th game number 1. You now need the mental fortitude to push on. That's gotta hurt, that's gotta sting. And it'll be the sign of a good IGL and a good team captain to get the team back together. Rolling on throughout this competition. We look onwards, 4 a.m. still. 2 alive, the noise from the bike will give away position. But really, when you've got 2 players on that one little motorcycle, where do you go? What do you do? What do you see in front of you?
Na'Vi got the first couple, but it's forced down the lower side of the hill, who could potentially follow it up. FaZe are on the move as well. FaZe sweeping on the... Oh no! No! 4 a.m. They pulled up, they better be ready to go! Trade on one, but the second, forever, does not stand forever as 4 a.m. Down in 15th. One of the best in the world just got slaughtered, and now FaZe are being engaged upon themselves.
The PCL Giants will drop down in 16th
FaZe.
place.
Are they going towards Na'Vi?
Oh no!
Oh, a doozy is taken down first
face.
It looks like a slaughter. FaZe are at the door. Pokemordoi prepare. Mexi and 8C knocking on the door themselves. They want in, and they've made it in thus far.
He got him! He got him! That's 2! Pokemordoi with the nade straight down. Uber knocked. That's rather unfortunate. Now they can make the advancement. Senya across the road, watches and waits for anyone to push outside. And all Pokemordoi has to keep doing is just slinging nades down the stairwell, pin them in, and the rest of the team can get the job done.
It's down to 8C and Mexi to try and make something happen here. Na'Vi are split apart, sure, but FaZe don't have the numbers to create much of a situation. This is with QM up on the north side of the island with VC, and you can see a Pokemordoi just made a play for this as well. It looks like Na'Vi might try and disengage, play a little bit more safe, play a smart game here. If that nade goes up and over, I'd lose my mind. FaZe trying to get Uber back on his feet. You're arguable one of the star players here as Na'Vi try and gather themselves, slow down the pace, control the tempo.
You've got to be careful because third party is always a possibility. Clearly FaZe don't have the information to where Na'Vi fully are. You can see the nades being thrown up into the building. The rest of them disconnecting. Maybe they regroup, get a better position. Circle, it's rough. It puts a hell of a lot of water still in and it splits the islands in 2. Makes this a little bit more smaller. I'm still seeing, I think it's Entus Ace are actually on the opposing side on the main head of Erangel. They've yet to make a crossover. The Rumbler's still outside of the blue, but down in the south is where it's about to get messy. TSM and Tempo. Ira looking to try and get a knock or a pick to save Michael's skin out here on his own, extended from the rest of the roster. I'd say you need to get on a vehicle and maybe bail it back to the team, but he could be going for the flank.
This is so risky, but TSM have played such an explosive game. Michael, phenomenal player. There's nothing to be taken away, but he had to try and capitalize on this. He needs Rory, he needs Iroh, he needs the rest of the team to apply pressure. Otherwise, he's going to be out on this island. The circle is rough, as you can see. Oh my God, who's done this? It's gone north. Okay, we have currently 3 teams on the northern side. Hold on, GX, Enter Ace, and Gen G did not move. W-Click could have the first way across. QM can swim if they need to. But this has now put the vast majority of the lobby in no man's land. They've got to move.
In what competitive world does this ever happen? It hard shifts to the... There's no way!
We say this time and time again, maybe, but it could happen, and it never does.
That's absolutely mental. Because there's only a small amount of areas that you can enter the opposing side. The cliffs will create bottlenecks.
Here we go,
Berry Pier is open, but that bridge is not.
TSM are pushing it. They're going to have to try and get towards Tempo Storm. They can't cross without it. Here we go. Maluk is first, but what did TSM do? Iroh's out on a limb. He's going for this one. That's a good nade. That could find Maluk down to half HP. TSM trying to temper Tempo Storm. Not so easy as Sharky snaps down towards Michael. As Iroh now is slightly surrounded. Look at this hillside. He might be able to fight 2, but he might lose out on the others.
They've got to be careful.
Genesis have made it.
They've gone to Ferry Pier. That locks that down. They could potentially stay here and lock out any other teams. They're behind Gen G on the opposing side. A doozy goes down. Ira, second one to fall now for TSM. Tempo Storm, they're feeling this one. There is a response back. Sharky hits the deck. Ira's gone. That's a completion. And it now comes down to Gustav holding this on his own. He's got death from above and below.
Maluk creeping close to the engage. Maluk whiffs it, but he goes back in, trying to get the peek on Gustav. He's got the damage, but has he got the kill? Gustav can only find Sharp Shot as Maluk works his way forward, and it's him to clean up. TSM not looking so sharp anymore, as Rory, last man alive, has 2 to find in the hillside, 2 on the coastline. A rock and a hard place to say the least, as now the blue comes in.
He actually hit him in the head through the smoke. He didn't go down, but now he's forced to heal. Going to be one of the furthest away from this.
Genesis just sniped one across the water. K-Mine is putting on pressure from Ferry Pier here. And why not? They have it all to play for. Teams using the Eastern Bridge.
Oh no.
QM finding VC right in the water.
Fish in a barrel. Dynamite down. A couple of little bit more distance on that one. I think they'll be getting it. Yes, indeed. TSM is out. And VC are left in the water being hunted. QM on the beach. What do you boys do? You are just being bombarded from the beachhead.
Yeah, QM should lock this one out. It looks like they are. There goes another as VC are drowning. As now shots come in from further east. That's the rest of VC who are still in the blue, far off here. Trying to find a way back in as, well, Sophia's finding damage on the Rumblers. Where is that?
There is a mass migration coming. Na'Vi enters Force phase. They're all together on the other side of the circle, and they're approaching the bridge. Who is the vehicles? Na'Vi does not. They're all on foot. Yes, to the edge of the white. And there's time to go, but they've all got to cross the bridge. This is insanity for a game number 1. This is one of the wildest circles we've seen in PUBG.
They just got turned on. A doozy went for the engage and lost it. Enters Force fighting their way out of this one, as now Na'Vi finally feel the force. After dealing with FaZe, they might fall at the final hurdle. Now, nades come out, but can they find Senya? He's on the other side of this hill, staying alive, ducking down, trying to bide his time. And enters Force. Where do they engage on this? Do they fall off? Do they find a fight? Because Senya is waiting.
It's tapped in the back. That's going to be Mexi. FaZe still. Now giving away their position. Hitting the beachhead, you would expect boats to not be a viable option here, which means they're swimming. Either that, you get in a car, you're hitting the bridge. Once you get across that bridge, Genesis, Gen G, everyone's going to be set up looking towards teams that are finally making it across there. The blue eventually will begin to hurt. We're in phase number 4 here. So after that, really, what can you do? Aitzi goes down. That's probably a knock and a confirmation from the blue, unless the meds were not there for him.
Mexi still holding by the bridge. You're seeing the Rumblers hold. That's on the other side of the island for now. These are the remaining teams trying to find a way in. Na'Vi losing out players as the nades come out, and you can see Enters 4 step by step controlling this side of the bridge. Senya wants to avenge as Kale is just around this corner. He's going to hear the vehicle. Will he go for it, though?
For now, just holding. Tempo Storm down and out. 12 position for them. XC confirms it. Senya onto Kale, having a look around. Senya, can you get it done? No, you cannot. 11th place will be there. Blue begins to do damage. Xiangyang, last man standing here for Enters Force. But really, what can he do? He's at the mercy of the blue, at the mercy of the bridge. Uber is running for dear life. Maybe he goes and tries to find some frags. But honestly, really, what can you do at this stage apart from pick up individual points? Everyone else getting mopped up by the blue.
There's nothing to be done for Uber. The best he could do is run back up and run over, but this blue hurts so bad. This is going to be the death of both of these players as we now need to look across the island. Gen G are a terrifying prospect in this scenario. They were already on the bridge. They were gate camping on the other side. They were holding it down. And now they have prime position. They control the entirety of the south side of the new circle. As that's a shot and a half coming through. We see Enters Force remaining player trying to make a run. As FaZe trying to stay alive down low with Uber. Both in a heal off.
Gen G had the option to camp the bridge and kill people that are going to be moving across from Sosnovka. Instead, they took the yellows on the cliffs. The Rumblers, number 9, will be on their tombstone. But Gen G controlling this entire cliffside denies any entry points from the water. The water would probably kill you at this stage anyway with the blue on your back. Some teams might even opt to just say, you know what, give it up. Doesn't it even allow it? Yiz, just from the cliffside, says, no, you do not get to deny yourself there, Ragnar.
Remember, Yiz is one of those highlight players, one of the strongest players we've seen come out through those semi-finals, so don't doubt what he can achieve, but it's a swim for him now, as it looks like Pio's watching that too. This is T1, coming in from the north after that initial scrap they had. Genesis with a great play across the island. They got a boat and they made it through swiftly. FaZe lose the heal off as Enters Force in the same scenario, trying to creep their way forward with their final player. K-Mind on a swivel, looking for any pixel out of place. Genesis look good here. Look at the room they've got. We've got 6 teams here. This circle actually allows a lot of play for the remaining teams. Enters Ace going to make a play towards Gen G.
While it might be only one player from Enters Force, we still, in theory, have all 4 PKL teams up and standing. T1, Enters Ace, Gen G, and then Enters Force with a solo player. This is an insanely good start for Korea.
It truly is. Let's see what they can make of it. Genesis hold the hillside and the fire comes out. Supreme shots land and they get the knock on one. The flush is just not going to happen from this unless Profi's got, you know, some god tier arm that he's considering. It's not going to happen. T1 now have a bit of cover. You can look at Enters Ace. Look at the rest of T1. They're in a big 2-2 split here as well. You've got Gen G still considering what they want to do in the southeast themselves, and that is not an ideal shack to be sat in.
Genesis and Gen G can control the outer areas here. Enters Ace and T1, if they want to push that shack further, for me, you're just kind of locking yourselves into a no-win scenario. You can't eject yourself from that. You're in an open territory. You're in an open playing field. Why not play edge? Why not play this one slow? Use the trees, use the rocks. QM finally gone, denies it to anybody. That's the best scenario he could possibly ask for rather than giving it to another team. For T1 with these 2 players, unless you can hit the world with that 8 times through one of the little windows, you're going to be disconnected from the rest of the roster, provided that Genesis doesn't get too tunnel visioned on just those 2 players there, because other teams will hear them shooting and other teams will take advantage of them standing still.
Absolutely. Precision play coming out. You're seeing the SLRs, you're seeing minis, you're seeing everything with a bit of range. Going to be the paramount thing to have beside you here. Genesis, I like their position for now, but if it does move away from that rolling hillside in the forest, it could prove a problem. Everyone else banking on those shacks. T1's position is incredibly dominant in my eyes, even with the 2-2 split. If they lose out on the other 2, it doesn't fuss me that much.
You've just seen Hitch wins POV. We'll hold for a second because we're getting the push from T1. The last 2 players making a little bit of a play onto Gen G, but they are disconnected. That's the problem for them.
I think Gen G are sweeping and it's smart. I like what they're doing, moving around this northeast side. They still have players in the current circle, but this is just housekeeping to them. That's smart. They can disengage. This is a scary run once they drill in the sort of, I guess, adjustment on these shots. Taemin could be in a bit of trouble, but he has made it through to the yellows, back with the others. They now know that T1 has this position. I like it. If it's just an information play, that's great. And no, he's unrecoverable. Yes, Ada stays alive, but the info is now noted.
Speaking about Hitchman's POV, when you look towards his armor level 1, it's going to be even worse for the players of T1 inside. Little Shack bunkering down and praying for dear life. Coming down the hillside, how much further can you go? Those smokes will only hide you for so long, fellas. Eventually they will have to run
Genesis.
out.
They still have the circle.
That's a beautiful position. They could also, if they really wanted to come down. They've got all the woods to play off of in their location. And more importantly, they also have the gas station. The bombs, the grenades, they come flying through. Bodies are just being picked apart. The smokes and the shacks, they'll only do so much because eventually they have to move.
Absolutely, and they have to move towards one of these teams. You do have T1 in the middle, you have Genesis in the back, and Enter's Force got their final player. He is over by the petrol station. Lockie again.
We hit him running.
Precision play from this man. We've seen it already. Is this just a taste of things to come? For now, though, we have to remind ourselves, a North American team really could do some big work here already. A good couple of kills for this side.
But those players in the shack, not only are they going to be lacking gear and armor, they're not healing up, Lauren. I think they're completely out of meds. They burn through them inside it. And this will cost them dearly. As soon as they come out of that shack, if you don't have the armor and you don't have the health, you're going to die. You're just pickings for any team. But who's going to be the picker? Is it going to be Gen G? Is it going to be Genesis? Don't forget, we've still got that one player from Enter's Force lingering down in the petrol station on his own.
Pio's just trying to ninja this one, isn't he? Just slowly moving his way up here, going to take the car and look for a new angle. He's found an off angle on maybe Enter's Ace. Once that smoke dissipates, his angle could be one of the best. If Genesis don't realize, that's his smoke wall. He wants protection from that side. Enter's Ace are now everyone's, Thanksgiving dinner at this point, and there it is. Taemin, Gen G gonna find this one. Joy goes down. No more smiles, no more happiness as Enter's Ace are eliminated. We're down to 4 teams here. 8 kills for Gen G. Their positioning was paramount, but they have capitalized.
Genesis binds the time for a second. They still have this woods to play with. They can opt to go towards the gas station, but there is one player in there. They might not be keeping track of him, which could be deadly in the later stages of this one. Eyes on the prize here for North America. K-Mind and Profit. 6 times, 8 times with the minis. This is more than enough. With the 5.56, Esther on the bike, time to go. Gen G against the circle, they got to find a position.
Where's Esther going to head this to? The petrol station is not available right down on the south coast, still slightly open. You're seeing those shots coming in. That's K-Mind spotting this one out, so now they have to piece together this puzzle that Gen G is trying to build. Nice shot coming through, keeping that pressure building. And I'm sure the damage is going to be there now. Gen G's gear can't be sitting too pretty, whereas I look at Genesis, it's not too bad.
Those players from T1 are actually holding Gen G dead to rights and locked in against the circle.
I don't know how they're going to send it. It looks like a vehicle's being considered at this point. I see the car moving around. This could be a mad dash. This could be the big send. Who's going to punish? Can anyone make anything from it? They're going to move down again on the southeast side. Trying to join up, but K-Mind says no. Goodbye to one of your players. Pio still stands. He's made it further forward, and Gen G are clutching at straws. Genesis so far are the kings of this game.
7 kills in the bag, and the win is looking good. All 4 players up, the only team left here in phase 7, with everybody surviving. The circle was good for them. It came their way, but they have capitalized on the position. However, eventually they will have to come down from the security of this hillside where they are. There is plenty of trees and cover to do that, but they've still got to get past these Korean teams. 3 up for Gen G. Smokes, eventually, Lauren, they're going to dissipate and they're going to be completely out of utility. And honestly, they're going to be working with very little.
But they're trying to forge a path. They're trying to find a way forward. They're trying to put anything they can to create maybe a chance. Because the circle isn't too pleasant for Genesis either. They have to shift further and further forward, down the slope, more and more into the vision of Gen G. I don't see any smoke now left on Ether. That's going to be a bit of a hindrance going forward. It might be time to start fighting out once these final smokes go.
Profi just casually picking up a crit in the back lines.
Who is this madman? He better have moves. He better be on a serpentine between these shots. And K-Mind, he can't land a shot. Somehow he's made it to the next touch of cover. And inch by inch, Gen G get closer.
I'm seeing damage coming out from T1. We did say about getting tunnel visioned here, and it might have punished them. They've taken the eyes off of T1 in that little shack. Nerf's gone down, smokes are up. Now they have to take one out of the scenario to get him back on his feet. The res will come through. That only gives eyes up for Genesis of 2 individual players. This allows Gen G to actually move.
Look
this
at
is
this.
dangerous.
Oh my god, Esther is making the play. Moving up again under the fire. You know the suppressing fire was coming in. Seeing that knock, you know you got space. Genesis have been static. They haven't moved as much. They haven't tried to capitalize. They haven't been able to punish Gen G. And Inter's Force still stand. T1 still stand. This is not a good position. Enough goes down. That's going to be a flush.
They haven't kept them in check, and now they are being punished hard. T1, Profi, K-Mine, Nerf. They are dying at the hands of the 2 guys in the shack. This is just... How have you let this happen? You've taken your eyes off the ball, and now they are punishing you hard. T1's hammer is coming down.
They were on cloud 9, and now they are feeling the full force of Korea. PO is running in the open. Look how confident.
Through the door,
Oh
do it.
my
Do it.
God, if that is on.
It's
oh
in.
my God, PO! We asked where he was. We wanted an answer, and we find it. T1 are out. They're eliminated. We're into the top 3. And NA still has their champions, but for how long? Enters Force. How are they? Oh my God, this is a punish. That's an execution. Locky had no idea. As Force were waiting, and Force strike. That's a one-shot.
Smokes are up, he'll be able to make a run here. Seong Yan, literally the last man standing for Force, has caused problems for Gen G. 10 kills in the bag is fantastic. Genesis have been able to get one more person back on the feet. 2-man squad, they will continue. Song Yang, just this solo ranger, is causing problems across the battlefield.
Oh my God!
Lauren.
He barely made it over the bridge. He barely made it away from FaZe, and now he stands on the precipice of being the downfall of Gen G and Genesis. K-Mind, last man alive for Genesis. He's trying to do what he can, and he falls. We're down to the top 2, a 1v2. It ain't gonna happen. Gen G!
Not the defenders, but the reclaimers. From outside on the edge of the circle, they clawed their way in. Tooth and nail, they fought back individually. And they get their first win on the board. That is impressive. Broken apart individually, but working as a team. What a win for Gen G.
They have to have their heads held high. We asked questions of performance. We wanted to see the Gen G that we knew was building. And is it the finals that call the beast to the stage? It might just be, but what a performance from Genesis. They can be proud of that. Yes, you'd have liked to see more in the final circle, but I've got to say it, they got outplayed.
From that little shack, knocking so many individuals, it broke them apart. They had all 4 players. They were their only team, I think, for 5 teams standing to have the individuals. And it kind of goes to show that if you don't keep teams in check, even solo snakes, Seong Yang bided his time. Let's be real here, he kept quiet for a hell of a lot of time and picked up some more points in the end. Not for placement, but for individual frags. He did well as a solo. But you have to confirm these kills. You have to put people in the grave. We said, for Genesis, if they didn't keep track and they got tunnel visioned onto other teams, they will be punished, and that's exactly what happened.
It absolutely is. I do see the interview's almost ready. We need to take a breath to bring ourselves back in. But what a first look at what to expect here in the finals, Rich. That circle was just insane. Seeing it moving to the north caught us all off guard. Let's take a second to catch our breaths. Let's get Rachel with the interview.
Thank you guys so much. I'm down here with PO, who had a crazy, incredible game. And we do have to talk about that third circle first and foremost. It looked like you guys were going for an island game, but then it yeeted on back up north. What was your team thinking about when that all happened?
이제 밀배에서 이 게임이 진행될 계획이었는데 그렇게 보였는데 이제 아일랜드 말고 이제 딴 쪽에서 진행이 되는데 어떠셨는지?
처음에는 밀배를 뜰 거라고 생각하고 건너편에 사람들이 많길래 일단 뒤부터 최대한 막고 진행하자고 생각하고 있었는데 위로 뜨길래 조금 당황했던 것 같아요.
So we thought that the circle was gonna end up in the military zone. So we were just standing back, but then we were surprised that the circle formed in the other side.
Well, you guys were quick to respond. You set yourselves up on the eastern part of those final circles and then moved across as a line with some very good nades. So walk me through those final moments with your team.
이제 마지막 순간에서 이제 중간 쪽으로 들어오는 이 순간들이 있었는데 팀원들하고 뭐 어떠셨는지?
마지막에 T1 선수들이 제네시스 선수들을 기절시켜주는 킬로그를 보자마자 그냥 팀원들한테 배우소 봐달라고 하고 바로 폭탄을 던지러 갔던 것 같습니다.
So he trusted his team, and then after they made the attacks, he just threw the grenade, and that's what happened.
Beautiful grenades. And it's wonderful that you could trust your team to help bring you to victory because you guys nailed it in the first game of the day here. We've got a lot more PUBG to play, so I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Simply put, an unbelievable start here to the PGC Grand Finals. Not only because we had a ridiculous set of circles to get our first game going. Everybody thought it was going to be a military circle. It was not a military circle. But then the team that found glory in 2018 at the World Championship at PGI has then started things out by finding glory in the first game here in 2019 in PGC. That's a big statement. They had a great spot and they were able to work it out. The final few circles, though, just madness.
I mean, PK, hell yeah, brother. 4 teams in that top 5. Mind-blowing, but yes, Genji, 13 kills. That shift was surprising, to say the least.
Yeah.
So I think that this may not be this repeat of PGI, because they can't count on that kind of luck when they're taking early game fights with shotguns to start this thing. That was Ace, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was an absolutely crazy start, but the third party and T1 really opening up. I was rooting a little bit for Genesis. They had a really good rotation. They managed to make it back up to Ferry Pier, but it turned out unlucky for them. T1 third party, then Song Yang was there as well. They should have moved a little bit earlier, and they potentially could have taken that game home.
There was so much happening in this game, so many team fights, but also individual plays. You saw Helen just getting one after another from Genesis. Pio, in the right moment, going for that nade in the shack. I mean, that was a 1-2 second window to make that move, because Genesis was getting knocked out by T1. Just so much all the time.
I mean, Genesis is a problem. Come on. They knew Team 1 was there. They were shooting at him for the last, what felt like 6 hours, and then they get knocked 3 in a row. Like, that's, I don't know, man.
There's so many highlight-worthy moments here from the first game. Helen, for me, from T1, though, I have to talk to you about this even further, because you brought it up, and I'm going to talk about it again. The fact that he did so much damage to Genesis that had circles going towards them constantly was massive. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here from this game as a whole, as we started off with a fight north of the river with a shotgun.
A fight that was so exciting, I just had to talk about it. Who fights with shotguns? They did it, and ultimately, because of that north shift, it worked out for them. But as you see, it was just a massacre at the bridge going both ways. It's rare that we could see bridge fights twice.
I was also surprised that Song Yang managed to survive for that long and also cross the bridge. He made it that far, and they had a lot of kills from the southern side as well. So a big clutch from Song Yang, in my opinion.
I mean, Uber could have spoiled it. He was underneath the bridge on the south side, but he didn't go for it. Song Yang, he just ran across. I mean, no one was camping the bridge. He had a good time for himself there.
And you gotta love Genji. The second that shift went north, they puffer fished out. They held the yellows. They held the hilltop. They made sure no one came into their terrain, and they set themselves up to win from the moment they knew it was coming back to the main island. And you can see, yeah, you know, T1 did the right thing. They crashed the most powerful shack in that area, and they held it for a long time, but ultimately it just wasn't enough to stop the domination of Genji.
That's right, PKL shows up big to start things off here as we have Genji getting themselves the first win of the day. Let's take a look at those points coming in, the results as they do stand. That is a big chunk of points for Genji to start off the day. A huge chunk of points for PKL to start off the day, with the 2 CJ Enters teams there in second and third. Fourth place going to T1. As much as Genesis had a great spot, they weren't able to accrue as many kills as I would like to have hoped to have seen them. They were shooting for the last 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, because they were alone on the western side for a long time, and yes, they could have taken a bit of opportunity a little bit earlier, maybe taking more space. They could have maybe taken the gas station as well to make sure that they got the kills there, but they focused on putting the pressure on everybody, and that kind of gave the opportunity for Genji to get into the position they did.
I mean, Genesis were playing for a late game. They took it passive. They knew that, hey, we're in a good spot here. We don't want to spoil this. We don't want to just lose this. take it easy, we'll grab the kills later. We want to win this game. But apparently, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was a unique game. I'm going to call it sort of a one-off, right? It was an extreme rarity that we probably won't see again. I won't say we won't, but it's not likely going to happen. But we got to see moments of brilliance and some indicators. Tempo Storm versus TSM, I thought was a very interesting fight. Tempo comes out with 4 and makes the best of a bad situation. Na'Vi played very cleanly until sort of that shift went back to the other side. And you could sort of see the wheels come off a little bit as everyone tried to deal with how do you get back. So we saw teams that needed to show that they could play here. I think show us good moments despite a bad situation.
I mean, look at OG and Ace, for example. They had that early fight. After that, they went to Pachinki. Even if Pachinki was outside in the blue, they went there to loot the rest of what the Genesis didn't loot because they only looted 1 flat top up there, so they didn't have anything to work with. And they knew, all right, we'll take our time. This is not doing a lot of damage. This is just the first circle.
Let's take a look at how that plane actually was able to traverse this map, and then obviously where the circles ended up shifting. Avenger, at the very beginning, you were like, oh, we're going to get a military circle? Because you always say that. But we actually did get that. And for one interesting dynamic there, Entus Force, which we thought was originally going to be going into Pachinki, decided to go military. And originally they were sitting pretty, but it obviously changed a little.
I like to see this kind of flexible drop for them that worked out real well. They were also been looking to go into Servany, so going out early, making sure that they got this spot early really worked out for them well. And obviously Gen G dropping completely on the other side because they came so late to the circle, kind of passive playstyle really paid off well for them.
I mean, for this circle, it worked for Force to go military island, but I'm wondering if they're going to keep on doing that or if that was just a reactive drop because the plane started down there. It might be the case, and if that's so, we're going to see them being all over the map on the upcoming games.
When you look at that map, you can see Ace had to work the hardest to get to the late, to get to that sort of 3 position. But Gen G's movement never ceased. They were always on the go. PO was always scouting, and they had the spot, right? When they got those yellow houses, a lot of teams would have been happy to just sort of hold that or hold the hill. They made sure that they were active the entire time, and they earned it from that moment.
I mean, a lot of their game plan for me, when they were over the other side of the bridge, waiting for it to, in their minds, 95% chance go to military. It felt kind of like gatekeeping, but they made the best of an amazing situation for them.
There was a big chance for it still going north. It was kind of like a 70-30 or something like that. Then with the next circle pop, it was like, oh my God, what's happening here? But what was most impressive to me was that they let the teams to be alive as long as there was a benefit to them. T1, they let them be alive. They could have killed them early. They could have chucked the nade into the shack early, but they made sure that everyone putting pressure on Genesis, they made sure that they were alive so they can kind of help them. And then when they were of no more help, they made sure to shut it down.
And that was something that we kind of looked at Avenger, and I'm going to open this up for the entire panel as a whole. Gen G, when they were choosing to go where they wanted to in those later stages, when there's so much open space in the middle, they were skirting around the edge, and we were saying maybe they should go all the way to the gas station, maybe the crates, but they decided to stop in very interesting locations to try and kind of hold those down. What do you think of that, Toffees?
I mean, I think they were aware that somebody was at the gas station. They knew that Genesis would probably collapse immediately if they didn't do a full 4-man rotation there, and it wasn't worth the risk. And I guess it worked. They basically spread out. They made sure everyone had a cover angle for each other, and they looked to get kills and then hopefully first place is I think what they were targeting.
What I really liked what Gen G did in the end there was there was always one person moving, always 2 persons holding the other teams, making sure, all right, no one's gonna have an angle on the guy who's moving right now. And whenever that guy got into position, it was time for the next one to move. And that's what's happened throughout the whole end of the game for them.
When do I get to lobby to deport Xenox for the Lazarus vote?
I was going to ask just now, but if you had to choose one person to blame for Lazarus going out in 16th, who would it be?
He literally picked him, and he said, I'm picking them because of Luke 12, and then Luke 12 dies first, and Lazarus goes out in 16th. So
well, they have been fighting on the
Xenox.
Bendy Road with QM for some time, and QM decided to go with 2 guys there to make sure that it's theirs. And when you have all of your Naya to yourself, you can kind of question, do I want to make sure that I get another car besides the 15 that I got east of Yasnaya? So it might be a little bit greedy, but Benny Road is a kind of important place to take. So we'll see in the next game. I'm excited to see if they continue that fight. Because
it was a risky move, but at the same time, it could have paid off because they want to have that control.
These were the moments where we were seeing T1 actually putting pressure on towards Genesis, and PO decided to cause a little bit of a problem for their plans. One thing I liked from T1 though was one inside, one at the back. Not really putting all the chickens in one basket.
Well, at the same time, you can't really be 2 guys inside because you're going to be blocking each other. You're not going to be able to get the angles you want to get. And of course, this nade situation, you don't want to be put in a situation where two goes out in the same time.
Sure. I think you're right. When you're looking for the chicken picnic, you don't necessarily want to put all your eggs in one basket, and that's what they did. They spread out. That grenade was absolutely perfect, but like we saw Pio, the whole time he pushed, he was watching every single spot where he knew everyone was, and the rest of his team was crossfiring. They were keeping Genesis's head down as he made that push to get rid of T1.
Big fan of chicken picnics here at the desk. And of course for Genesis, having that kind of high ground Avenger, unfortunately during the end, during those final moments, it's not like even some of these circles, when they died, shifted that far away from them, but there was just no room.
There's no room. I mean, when you keep the high ground here, to make sure that you put so much pressure on the rest of them, they should have taken, because there are 4 guys alive, they should have taken 2 guys and then other angles, so they could make sure they had multiple angles to put pressure, even though the other guys kept moving. So, in my opinion, the knock in the blue and the knock in the car, there is unfortunate. The car didn't work as well, so there's multiple things that went wrong.
I think Genesis lost that game when we saw T1 push for that shack that they took. Genesis was already making a 2-man push towards it. They got the circle and they pulled back around and gave up on that push. I think they would have beaten T1 there. I think they would have been able to hold it with 2, and I think that may have given them the game with the crossfires that they would have gotten out of that.
I think it came down to pressure, honestly, on Genesis.
Okay.
They did want to make a move, but the pressure put them back there and didn't want to risk anything because you know how important every point will be. We don't know. It might come down to 1 point down in the last game.
Yeah, but if you're too scared to risk something, you're going to lose everything. That's what we see in a best of 12 series. You have to put it all on the line. You have to take those risks, or you're not going to take home the big prize. I mean, this is life-changing money. Take the risks.
Absolutely life-changing money.
It's 12 games, so in every single game, when you have an opportunity to do so, you have to do the game or the winning moment and the winning play. So that play would have been to make sure you try to get the win instead of try to just get as most points and get as many kills as possible from that game.
A good example of the PO grenade push. That was a risky push. There were definitely fire lines from other teams, but he said, we have to do this. It secures the win. It's the right call. And he took the risk and it paid off. And I think that's the big takeaway for me here in this game is take the risk.
It's also beautiful to see how Gen G was picking one team after another, knowing this is the team with the biggest threat right now. Genesis, they're down there. They're crawling around. We don't need to care about them. As soon as we're done with T1, focus on Genesis and then down to Force.
T1 was a big shifter in that game, of course, as they were able to lay down a lot of fire on Genesis up onto that high ground. Helen, absolutely. What a stellar performance by him, being able to get as many knocks as he did in those moments. And as we look forwards into the next game, do the other regions, other teams have to be concerned a little bit about how much Korea just put on the board? Because that's a huge confidence boost.
I mean, if you're not concerned, you're crazy at this point. That said, it was an anomaly of a game.
It was.
And I think that the teams can go back to the drawing board and say, take a deep breath. It's an 11-game series now. And sort of let that one go just a little bit and start back where they planned on starting.
It's definitely the server from PKL they have here making the games. So you can see that from our 14 here. But again, anomaly. But if this happens again, like if Gen G has another good game, they'll be around the 40 to 50 point mark at that point, and that's kind of halfway towards the winning 100 points.
It's true.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Time for game 2. Where is our circle going to go here? We're about to find out. We're going to head over to Pansy and Sims once again, and there are other commentary teams for all of the action.
Well, game 1, that circle was a bit of a curveball to say the least. And I think Steve said it well. It was an anomaly. We say it so often. Maybe what it could, and it rarely does. I think that's the first time we've seen something like that. Good to see the fans out and about. But for me, if you're a player, you can chalk that up to bad luck, which arguably Korea seemed to handle it well. But let's leave that where it is. Game 2 is where the dust should settle and everyone should find their footing.
Yeah, we've had us Brendan Green for the event.
Yeah, thank you. Player unknown.
The only way to do it, of course, would be game number 1. That's the weird play, but we've said it time and time again throughout, not just this year, but last year as well. The most proactive teams are the ones that come out on top, and when you're in a best of 12 scenario, you have to expect the unexpected. Every single thing that's going to be thrown at you, teams are just scenarios where they'll push a building, for instance.
Guys, what's that flag? Show me. There it is. There it is. You got Genesis playing well. You can put that up. That's fine. Crack on.
It could have been even better. I still think they could have won that.
I tend to agree.
Look, even DA would have moved at that point, all right? They would have moved to the gas station. They would have done something. But rather than just sitting there and letting T1 batter them from that little shack, like, They
There
took the
was
eye off the
moves to
ball
be
for a
made.
second, and I think that it shows exactly how teams will take advantage. You give them an inch, they will take a mile, and that's exactly what happened with Genesis.
No, you're absolutely spot on. I think for me, we've seen a glimpse of what can happen to some of these teams when they have to rise to the occasion. Some can, maybe some can't, and they'll blame it on bad luck, which you can't always do, but now it is on to round 2, match 2 of day 1 here in the grand finals. The plane is in the sky. We've got to find out where it's going to head.
Reassess, reset, and go again. Second map of Erangel, you now need to look at what went wrong, have a quick discussion, put it behind you now, because that's your one bad game over and done with. First playing path, we're over on the west. We start in the north, we end down south. Teams will be struggling. If they like to loot on the east coast of Erangel, you're going to have to go for a few adjustments. Even grabbing the vehicles will be late.
I'm looking a little bit towards Georgia Paul. I want to see where they split apart. I don't think teams will be right on top of each other, but I am a little curious if someone gets close. It looks like VC and Genji are quite close by, and I'm wondering where they head towards. I imagine one will take Georgia Paul Town itself, the other may go Hospital or the fields below. Look for the vehicles. And again, we look towards a military island. That is certainly up for grabs. FaZe may be considering that, but they are not alone.
There'll be other teams that you'll see Xiongyan just jumping last so he can get a read on where FaZe exactly are, make sure no one else is with them, and by doing so, feed all that information back. As a small little update, when we came into this throughout the semi-finals, when we look towards teams' performances on Erangel, out of the top 5 teams, 4 of them are sitting on either 0 points or 1. The tables have turned when it comes to map count and individual performances on this one. Nicky, get out of the dodge there, fella. SLR's just ringing a loud circle.
Okay.
It's a bit more kind of this time, Lauren.
Yeah, you're looking at center point being maybe Everest or just where Sharp Shot may be, so just south of Everest or the hill, the mountain, whatever you want to call it. It's around that marker, so everyone can play to that. I don't think anyone's too upset. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Speaking of upset,
Oh.
oh no. Oh no! You gotta be. Oh! Iroh! Iroh's made of steel! How's he alive? He got bumped then.
Oh no.
Michael, get in the car.
They're
Michael,
shooting.
Michael, get in the damn car, Michael!
Uber's here. Your rating is dropping. Run. Run, TSM, run.
Oh
They're
no!
taking them up a distance.
Please, TSM, just get out of there. Just make it away. Flee for your damn lives. Michael is barely breathing. Look at the HP on him. Oh.
It's the danger of finding a home position over on the east, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to get the vehicles and go to, more than likely, Milter, maybe even farm if they want to hurry up because Circle's over there, but you always run the risk. You want to go for a player like that, there will be teams that happily try and take advantage.
All right. All of Europe, please take a breath now. It's okay. They have made it away. You're all right. You're all right.
This is fine.
Calm it down. This is
fine.
And yeah, Lazarus, if you want to look at the NA side of the coin, they had a rough beginning. I want to see Lazarus do well. They were the slow build for me, but I couldn't ignore Purdy Curdy's performance. He was a force to be reckoned with.
There's something to be said, and I agree with what I think James brought up on the desk ever so slightly. It was minorly overshadowed by FaZe's performance. No one ever expected that. Well, I say it's FaZe Sunday. Some of us did expect it. It's one of those things that just happens. But it was a world-class stellar performance to turn up in the very final match to be here. But Lazarus absolutely killed it. They came top of the table. Purdy Curdy stepped up to the plate. They put North America on the map, and that's what I like to see. We've always thrown memes and jokes around NA, EU, LOL, all that stuff. But they did fantastic, and now they're on home turf. They need to do the same again. We need to see a zero-to-hero performance because getting nothing, absolutely nil point whatsoever, when Genji's just picked up 23, you're already at a 23-point deficit behind the current leader. Quick math.
Crushed it. I am looking across the board here. This should be a calmer game. Again, that was just a wild one because of that ridiculous shift. It set the tone beyond what we'd imagine. We look across the board here, and this is where teams need to calm down. Take a breath themselves. That was a harsh game to play out, no matter where you ended. We are seeing a couple of the very early teams moving. That 4-minute mark does ring the bell for a couple who maybe got their boots on the ground early. The Rumblers, for example, might be getting a little action as they cross. I'm sure a couple of shots could come through if they don't scout it, but they are a team who will scout. And as much as they are a very explosive, unpredictable team, they're pretty darn smart.
One of your big factors in this game will be Everest. or the Georgia Paul Mountain just to the south, whatever you want to call it. It gives teams a really good vantage point to get themselves not only in the center of the circle, but to be able to see what's going on onwards from you, what's in front of you, what's behind, where a team's rotating. The line of sight and the vantage points that you gain from taking control of that and being up there first is fantastic. There is a downfall to it in the fact that you can get blocked off if you want to come off of that mountain. If the circle's unfavorable, you have to make a big old run. There could be teams at the foothill. Jerry Poppins, 2 players dying like that. I'm assuming he's blown a vehicle up, potentially. Either that or they've just arrived and he's banged them dead to rights on arrival. Let me have a look across the map.
He was up in the north. They were moving down from Zaki, and they just got themselves into a very nice position. They scouted correctly, but Leo's got a bit of a beat on it. Gets the glimpse, and now adjust because Microfry and Lost HD are making their move. GEX, they've had a rough beginning to some of their games. They've been getting a lot of early engagements, and this may not be anything other than par for the course for them now. Microfry and Lost HD can provide big angles. Keep GEX very, very sullen here.
Depends what they want to do. We'll take a look at their rotation from Zaki. Start all the way up in the north, the northwest, and work their way down to the position that they're in now. Need to play it cautious and careful. If you do go down at this point, you'll be behind a window. Your teammate will come and get the revive. So GX shouldn't be able to confirm any of the rumblers whatsoever. If they do, it means they're completely exposed and out of position. 4 AM making a push. There is a team up here.
There's
They
a
have
lot
to
of
be
teams
careful.
around
BC
here.
is lingering just on the hillside here, and Tempo Storm also chomping at the bit below them.
I'm a little scared for 4 AM. There's a lot of teams in this position. They've seemed to kind of thread the needle and make it through, I guess, the pack, you could argue. They could pick up the double graze. I don't know where they fancy heading to. It's a nice little position if they can get it, which they can. I see a couple more shots, but they're far enough away that I don't see too much of an issue. Already a couple of players. It's just getting themselves into a nice position.
It's houses and compounds like this what make BC's life a little bit harder should the circle be very unfavorable to them coming down from there to evacuate the scene. If you're looking for hard cover, you do tend to crash these buildings or at least go by them. And when they have full teams stacked up inside looking outside the windows, it's usually death on arrival or death flying by. Na'Vi, this is the hillside where you do have the little Harry Potter tower just to the south. Again, gives them a good amount of vantage point, but no one really will be out in the fields. It will be open and vast. T1, they'll lock down the radio tower. Again, wide open areas, wide open spaces, very hard to push this. You can look for rotations and look around, but you have to work off the sides with the vehicles once the circle does pop, but still. With the 2 here, where's the other 2 actually perpendicular? Okay, so they're on the other side. They're over on the actual west coast. So this is good for them because that gives them a backup plan should the circle actually pop that way.
Well, we did see that nice 2-2 split towards the end for them previously. So they seem to operate well. FaZe going on the south to west rotation up that western coast. They've made it across the military island themselves. They can position up. They might run into that 2-2 if they keep heading this way. Again, enters Force. Kind of similar path here, heading across the island, but I wonder if they're going to be more kind of just as the crow would fly, just straight in, or they go on that western swing themselves.
Teams late to the party. Enters Force, currently all the way down south, just coming off of the bridge on Sosnovka. TSM all the way on the east, moving up past the Potato Hillside. Tags onto Lost HD.
Do they know Microfry's that close? I don't think they've been able to spot him out.
I suppose that's the advantage of having 2 players to the north, right? They can distract them and let Microfry potentially get up close and personal. He'll be able to walk as the bullets do rain back. The only way he gets spotted here is either by the lower little building where he's looking now, and that's why he's creeping
this could be
slowly
so sick.
but surely. With the 2 times, it only gives him a little bit of range, but more importantly, he can take the engagements. That's why it's gone. Iron sights.
Is Lost HD baiting for him? Hold on, this could be so sick. If Lost HD is baiting the noise, baiting everything, Microfry now on the engage is going to move forward. He's caught them with nades in their hand! That is ingenious from the Rumblers. I absolutely adore this. Now the Rumblers are at the door and they're breaching. They're scrappy and they're dangerous. They get the flush, and now one man is alive upstairs, nades in hand, cowering to try and stay alive, but he is being swarmed.
There's also a potential here that he pulls the pin and denies. As soon as he hears them on the stairs, he will either run into them. There we go, pin's gone. Where's it gonna go? He's throwing it. Hoping the door's open.
Oh, he didn't get it through. He didn't get it through the door. He put down that smoke, and it's not paid dividends. Jai Wei is in danger. He's safe in this room. Until then, good night, GEX. The Rumblers wanted that building. They've got it, and now they can move forward.
Micro Fry creeps up, Lost HD gets the vehicle, it becomes the bait, but more importantly, it hides the footsteps. He's allowed to move, kills one downstairs, then all 4 players crush onto the building and wipe them out. We've already lost 1 team. 10 minutes into the game, enters Ace. It's going to be a slow crawl up the hill, boys. I hope you're ready for the teams that will be looking onwards, because 4 angry men are very angry after the previous game and getting only 1 point. The VC Gaming, they were actually up here, so they've evacuated the scenario. They have accidentally knocked one. That's a beautiful headshot at distance.
4 AM, we want to see big performances in Helen continuing where they left off. Helen's a beast! Ragnar goes, Rebo goes. W-Click left in tatters. Helen is coming alive in these moments. Maybe a big game player is what we're seeing here. The flush is inevitable. I don't think there's even recovery or revenge allowed.
It's just not possible. They're across the road, unfortunately. To run this would be a very open gauntlet.
Oh,
they may potentially give it up for the greater good. It's going to be... Oh, are they actually going to try and fight back for some...
No.
Surely you can't hit that head on. I mean, if they do, I respect it. You might as well get aggressive and be a have-a-go hero, but honestly, it could end your run here in 15th place. So you have to be careful. Pick your fights carefully. And when you do make the approach, make sure no one else can see you, because third party in this kind of lobby, at this kind of level, is always a deadly possibility.
Now, keep your eyes on the circle. We've got it kind of centering up on, I guess you could say, Radio Tower Hill. You're looking around the kind of western fields that come off Gatka, south of Hospital. That sort of area is your central point. You do have play coming across the land now. TSM approaching from the east, but
no.
TSM, Rory? Do you have some sort of death wish here? Stop feeding, what is this? They roll up, they get out. TSM, there was no scouting, it was poorly scouted. I don't know which is worse.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because usually it's Gustav who'll be going off on a bike 9 times out of 10 and in the IGL to find a foothold here. This time round, they lose him instantly. Give QM a free point and a body box for some bullets and bandages should they need them. We've seen a big commitment here from Lazarus and Entus Ace, both teams going up onto the mountainside on the foothills. 4 AM, Tempo Storm. Even QM as well, if they move a little bit further up onto the main road, we could.
Uncivil's getting a little restless.
Yeah, I'm glad you've seen that. We could see engagements up here. If the rest of, there'll be Luke 12 and Halo, Purdy Curdy's off by, if you want to call it, just outside the hospital.
Yeah,
on the
he's
hillside.
kind of
So there will be a
trees.
3.
There's not much there. I mean, he's fine though. Okay, we're centering up. VC currently hold, and 4 AM, between VC and 4 AM, I'd say is one of the very strong positions. The southern side is packed here as well. You look at Entus Force now entering up as well. They're going to be close towards Na'Vi, Genesis, Tempo Storm. There's a lot of teams now looking their way on. Civil was restless, but he does find one. Entus Ace tried to step to the hill, try and step a little closer, and they get punished.
See what more damage they can do. There's only 2 here, him and Luke 12 working simultaneously as a duo. The rest of them, Halo and Purdy Curdy in the distance. Did he tag him? Didn't quite see.
Ooh.
He wants it. Won't be surprised at this level some of these players. FaZe Clan are actually getting pulled up on. We might need to check in with them ever so soon, because they've actually
Is this the Rumblers?
The Rumblers are rumbling up over on the west coast, and there's only 2 players from FaZe. They're in a 2-2 split. This could be dangerous. Keep an eye on the kill feed in case that comes through. Yeah,
I'm looking at Mexi over there. I'm looking at, I think it may be Fuzzface. I'm not too sure. It's Uber over on this side. Excuse me. Cherry Poppin is there, and we know the Rumblers will fight this. Oh, Uber's in so much trouble here. Arguably one of the best players in the world, you could say. He's been known for his individual play, and now one by one they come, and he just kept swept aside. The Rumblers absolutely enamored with the idea of taking on everyone in this lobby. Mexi's out.
Yeah, he just got emulsified. There was nowhere to even do anything. 3 really good clean and sweep from Rumblers, to be fair, rather than doing individual buildings one by one. They went as a team. Clear, kill, job done. Mexi's out. He's bailed on this. He will get a compound for the rest of his team to find him, but losing Uber, let's be real. Okay, we talk about team performances and we talk about individual performances. Uber is a man to be messed with. He is just such an individual performer, but it is a team game. We are at this level. You'll get these clutches in these scenarios where you can pull off the odd 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, but as you've seen from the Rumblers, you are looking for teams to clean and sweep properly as a unit.
So unknown to TSM, they've kind of walked into the exact position Lazarus was just in. They were on the hillside. Lazarus had disengaged towards the hangars across from Hospital, on the side of Hospital if you're thinking about the crates. So they've kind of done a bit of a switcheroo here. Lazarus have gone, you know what, I don't like playing off of that hill late game. I don't blame them. So they've been proactive, and I like that. That could be a smart play for them down the line, but my mind gets a little drawn to this. The beautiful moves, but it may not save you as ZGG is drilled in, dialed in, and he's got the range on that.
You shouldn't expect them to make a wild advancement on that. You're going to put yourself in open territory, and then maybe actually TSM could get involved. They will be cautious as well after losing Rory so early on.
The Rumblers, they're not done with just testing one of the greats. They fancy a shot at one of the best. Gen G standing in the northern side, holding Hospital. You can see Microfry this time has been tamed for now. And the circle goes right towards VC. They sit center, you've got 4 AM and maybe TU1 around them. Lazarus not far off either. Hospital and the building opposite that currently Gen G reside in is very strong here too.
VC's position is formidable. Behind you, you have the hills. It's going to be rough to get across there. I would expect a few teams to make a hard pull-up on that. It will be difficult. Speaking of hard pull-ups, Milan's gone.
What?
Tempo Storm are just feeding the giants here. There's another one as well. Tempo, what are you doing? Why are you just driving into death's embrace?
Will anyone else fall foul to a similar move? Entus Force are looking for their home, and there isn't much here. It's time to start looking at divots and dips and anything that may give you a home. Some rest for the wicked as Entus Force do find a bit of placement. TSM forced to move up towards Entus Ace. Up on the hillside as TSM desperate to make a name for themselves after that first little bit of a disappointing start.
They've been there a while. How have they not scouted that? They've heard the shots. They've seen the players. Why would you go head over heels direct into that conflict?
Genesis moving up towards W-Click as well. I'm seeing pre-nades coming out. That's been lobbed. It's beautiful. It goes too far, but Profi and H-Win turn up and Harold waits. Through the smoke, he's trying to play it out. K-Mine's tag is there, but Harold's still trying to patrol around here. But Genesis, he's surrounded on all fronts. One nade. He's trying to feed it out, but it's just too short. And now he's dropping them down. He's found H-Win. Can he hold back the entirety of Genesis?
This gives him the information that he needs as to where their potential location is, but seeing the nade come out also feeds the info back to W-Click. As a Lone Ranger, you've got to hit the deck and hold for now. Itzy onto Microfy in the kill feed. That's a DP getting the job done. It's only a knock, it's not a confirmation. That could be across the building scenario as well. They're actually at the walls. I'm surprised they've come so damn close.
It's the Rumblers. We know they're up for a fight. Harold goes down. That was Nerf's nade, I think, hitting towards it. Fuzzface unraveling, revealing the Rumblers' plan as Waldo now starts to build. Looks for a way forward as it looks like the Rumblers have been tempered. With Microfry being knocked, they want that res. They want them back up. T1 is being engaged on, and it's a good nade, and they might have to push this.
It's a complete and utter mortar strike. That's two. We lose one off the back of it as well. Lost HD's gone. That's the conflict. Two different fights across this map. They are pushing. QM want to wipe T1 out.
Adder waits coiled patiently to strike. That hillside could be the downfall for QM. Once they breach, once they peek, he waits, he gets decimated. The trade comes in, but it's from forever. Way off in the distance. T1 trying to make this swift, but they can't handle the pressure. QM are on the verge of wiping them out.
They need to clean these kills up fast because 4 AM is just stealing. SK Telecom T1 13th place. Job done for them in this lobby. Rather unfortunate from two different teams, but that's what you have to expect. It's always a viable option. You have to watch every single angle, and when you're cresting on a hill like that, everybody can see you. FaZe Clan still getting the job done towards the Rumblers. Now we pop on board with TSM. They've already lost one in front of Rory. Michael's down as well. Enters Ace. They wait at the bottom of the hill.
I would say, look at the map here. I love the reposition from Mexi and HC trying to surround the Rumblers. It's moving northeast. We're going to have the foot of the hill and VC Lazarus still holding a great deal of cards.
Oh, Lazarus, why did you commit that hillside? Now
Hey,
you have
they
to
could sweep down this. I don't think it's the worst thing. Yes, Genesis can find them. That's a one problem.
That was the one player they needed. Purdy Curdy to have a look around and see what was what and get them some information, because Luke 12's not exactly in a great position himself. He has all of Gen G staring at him. Lazarus and basically Lazarus, enters Ace, TSM. They are all open to VC Gaming and 4AM.
Na'Vi having nades in hand, not going to go well for themselves. Pokemolodoy is knocked. A doozy is dead in the water as Bestaloch is watching on. Senya not having the best of times either. They're just lost in the south with so many in front. QM and Genesis going to be holding them back, pushing them away, but Genesis have eyes on who's in front of them. K-Mind gets the flush, but can they get the rest of the squad just over this hillside?
Going for the flank, the creeping, they're all looking the opposing way. Fuzzface dead, Waldo, that's still the engagement with the Rumblers. Leaning on the side, it's go time now, they're moving up the hill, there's one, he strikes, there's the second! QM is gone, Genesis survive.
Huge performance, waiting patiently. Incredible discipline to not engage early. They waited for the shots as Bestaloch makes the last man alive run for Na'Vi. Heading southeast, trying to move into the foothills, trying to move towards TSM, but it is certainly not clear. Genesis now to make their run, but they're late as well. FaZe and the Rumblers, mutually assured destruction out in the west side. Fuzzface fell foul to it, and it looks like they might fall altogether. The Rumblers still have two alive, and I'm seeing 8C trying to stop them.
Good work from TSM to get Michael back on his feet. They need to deal, unfortunately, with Bestaloch. PL team's fighting it out here on the outskirts of the circle. He's the one that has to make the run. FaZe Clan is eliminated. The Rumblers, they do the dirty on them. That's another poor finish, unfortunately, if you're a FaZe Clan fan. If they are in your pick'ems, you're going to be quivering now. The bullet's there, and it's time to dodge because it's time to run. Explosions in abundance. Genesis enters force. Go head-to-head for this radio tower position.
But Genesis have the blue on their back. They have to keep moving it step by step. They have to charge forward. Profi trying to do it. He's got the teammates beside him in the car. K-Mine's trying to send it up there, but enters way on the other side. They're dug down. They're in deep. Indigo trying to slow down the roll from the North Americans. Nerf's nade could be huge. If it finds its target, it bounces forward. It's good! The trade is there, though. Indigos did find Profi, so it's not without casualty. And the car, no, he's down to nothing. Indigo absolutely taking down Genesis, just about staying alive themselves.
Back to back, we lose two North American rosters. We also saw the Rumblers gone. Meanwhile, 4AM have been back building. They've been sat here watching all these engagements unfold. Finally, Circle will force them to move. Everyone else uphill, though. That's just easy pickings and easy points for 4AM. Michael is dead. That's the confirmation from ZGG. And there's still plenty of other people who have to make the run.
8 teams stand, Rich. 4AM scare me in this. Gen G scare me in this. Enters Ace scare me in this. There's a lot to be afraid of, and Na'Vi feels the force of that from 4AM. They're controlling the southeast side, but TSM's still the next target. It's in their sights, and they're working on it. You do have Enters Ace trying to engage as well from the other side.
Ira, he's a man who can in certain scenarios like this, but honestly, I think this one might just be too much. Play for placement, play for your life. If you can pick up a frag or two on the way, then why not? But when you've got all 4 members of 4AM that will soon have eyes on your position, and then directly in front of you have Enters Ace or hear your bullets, for these two rosters, it's hell, who can get Ira first?
Yeah, he's just about alive. It looks like he might be running out of options. That blue's going to force him forward, and there isn't much cover to play to beyond that rock. It will be open terrain, and you can see Forever eyeing it up. He wants to punish. He wants the kill. You can see the fire. Iro, a valiant attempt to stay alive, but they will go down in 7th with TSM.
Open terrain, open season. Honestly, there may have been option there to actually give it up to the blue and not give away the points. Remember, you are playing against all these other teams, and if it's a no-win scenario, then why bother feeding the mighty giants that are already still just fighting tooth and nail? 11, I think 10 kills on the board already now for 4AM, which is pretty good after the performance in the last round. A team, though, that is having a dead to rights. The bullet just pings him in the side of the face. Alo has now also been spotted by Enters Ace.
Oh, the taps. Precision work here. There goes Lazarus. We're down to 4 teams now, 16 players alive, so you know there's some big squads in this. Enters Ace trying to step towards Gen G, and they have a big answer for that, and it's a resounding no. Do not dare try and come towards us.
All 4 players up for Gen G, same for 4 AM. BC have a phenomenal position on this map. But they do have 1 player down. They'll have to stick the res, which puts another one out, and only 2 standing to keep a track of what's going on. Gen G now focused on another Korean team uphill, looking towards Entus Ace. They have to deal with this first. Freeze up the side. They've got more room to breathe then. 4 AM will creep and peep for now, but it's certainly Entus Ace who are in dire straits. Eventually, the tree line will give away their position, and they'll have to fight their way through.
Okay, the new circle hits. You do have the fact that VC have 1 building still in this, but they'll get a great deal of attention. 4 AM don't have much cover, so they might have to find the engage. It's time to consider what's your best way forward. How can we fight this? How can we not give it up? Entus Ace already hitting the deck. They don't want any of it. Gen G, if they try and move forward, they know there's a lot of eyes towards them, but Gen G at least have stepped in the circle. They're currently, arguably, having the vast amount of their team in this. Now, 4 AM are trying to put their sights on VC.
Summer's position is formidable here for 4 AM to make an entry point into this one. He can look through the little letterbox windows of that building. He's claimed the shack for himself and single-handedly just keep poking at them, keep being a nuisance and hold them back. It would take a worldie of a shot to get him through that letterbox, hit him in the head. Mickey does go down, speaking ahead, Taven finds it. He's disconnected from the rest of the team, so they would have to commit 1 player to an open run. I don't think that's going to happen. You expect him to die. There he goes. Point does go their way. And now 4 AM are turning, as they are turning tails and trying to flee the scenario. Gen G in front, 4 AM in the back. Entus Ace are being crushed to death.
They can't deal with the pressure that's going their way, and it looks like 4 AM might mop up the final few. There's the play up from VC, trying to push themselves forward to get a better position, but under the car, there's no safety. You can't dance with the devil of 4 AM and not expect to get burnt. These guys are playing a scary game. They're fighting every step forward here. Gen G still hold a great deal of territory. This hillside is huge for them.
The taps keep on coming through. Both teams just instantly trying to jump at the bit and knock each other out before they get to that central point. Everybody playing edge here. All 3 teams left. 11 individual players. Gen G maybe. He's going for the res?
He wants his teammate up, and if you feel you can, why not? I guess they can include 4 AM, but I wouldn't like to be tussling with them. You've got to say Gen G's position, in my eyes, is still incredibly strong. It looks like Forever wants to punish VC. For this sort of play up here, going to take the tires out, limit their movement going forward, but it does mean they now have 2 players to worry about in that hill. It's finally moved away from Gen G. They can no longer use this hillside as their leapfrog point. They can't now work off it. They have to move forward. There are still trees. There is still cover. It's down to the marksman here. How good are you with those minis? How good are you with those SLRs? And how bad do you want this?
Nobody's inside the circle, and for all 3 of these teams, limited movement and limited utility eventually will become a massive factor. The tires have already been taken out from 2 of these players here. Forever's still holding the angle, hoping that one of them, I mean, he can basically stay here and stop it, them flushing from through the smoke. That's massive, whether or not they realize the connection was there, but now their teammate Dome might be able to finish the job.
Yeah, you can see ZGG being called into action. He needs to support his teammate. Forever's in danger, and you're seeing as to why. Already, way less, going to connect a few, but not without an answer themselves. This is tit for tat, this is back and forth. TJ Boy's got barely any bullets.
No helmet either.
Forever trying to get that last heal off, and it is going to be go time. Gen G working their way forward. The smokes are out, the vehicles are here. Esther's working forward, trying to use those smokes for cover. Build a fort, build a way forward. Forever trying to work in just about unison with the others, but the blue, they're still not safe.
He's sticking this position in a hope that VC turn on Gen G and maybe expose themselves. The blue will eventually force them out here. Look at this though, he's holding angle, he's ready for it. 4 AM, Forever, he was tracking the 1 player, there is an answer back though, tries to get away with the vehicle, knocks him out of it, so it's a good trade. Pawn for pawn now, they're moving forward. But the chess pieces, there's a limited amount, we're in an open field there here. The blue is forcing these engagements and Pio's creeping. And how's he on this side of the map, Lauren?
Gen G still have all 4 alive, and Pio is coming alive. The beast from the east returns again.
Oh!
Pio! Huge play from this man coming in as VC are down to 2, trying to hold on to do anything they can, but Gen G look nothing short from God tier.
That is absolutely insane to push on the side like that, get the flank and murder both of them. What a time to hit the headshot. This is incredible from Gen G.
It's a 2-on-3. You've got to argue this should be Gen G's game. Let's see what angles VC can play with here. Is there an avenue? Do they have smokes? I see level 1 vests. One more nade for VC. They're going to be putting it down and trying to work with it. Gen G hold the line. They hold the peak. DJ not looking so good, but a good nade does come out. But it doesn't feel like VC can get a foothold here. They're desperate for a way in. Uh-oh.
Power.
The Reaper's here. PO's arrived. 3 kills already. He wants more. He's out for blood, and he's already got it. The taste on the lips. He knows what's in front of them. Look at the HP. They're going to be in the blue any second now. They can't do anything. I think they've realized it. I think they know. It looks like Gen G have done it again.
Back to back. GG Gen G. This is the start that you want to see from a World Championship team. 42 points in 2 games. This is just world-class PUBG. History has been written once again. We're only 2 games in, and they're showing rest of the world why they are potentially #1.
First game, argue they were on the right side. In that game, they had to fight for it at the very end. They played it so well. They held their cards close to chest. And my God, did they have it all. I am absolutely in awe of how big this step up has been from Gen G. Yes, they look good during the groups. Yes, they look good during the semis, but they didn't look this good.
It's scary. If I were every other player on that stage right now, I'd be thinking, good Lord, how do we stop these? It's a rolling stone, and it's only going to gather more momentum as we go through this competition if they keep putting up performances like this. I have no idea what's going on. This is formidable play. We're going to go down to Rachel once again with a player from Gen G.
Thank you guys so much. I got Taemin this time, and we are going to run through the whole Genji roster before this day is through. I'm feeling it. Because, guys, what did you even eat for breakfast? You guys are playing amazing.
이런 대단한 결과를 보이기에 아침에 뭘 먹었길래 이렇게 대단한 결과를 보일 수 있었나요?
일단 한국 밥 먹었고요. 한식 먹었습니다.
We ate Korean food.
Nice, good choice. That'll let you win in some video games. Now, in that final circle there, you had an interesting choice. You were triangulated with VC and with 4AM. How did you choose who to move in on? And how did you call those plays in the final moments?
이제 마지막 원에서 VC하고 4AM이 있었는데 누굴부터 공격할지 어떻게 결정하셨나요?
4AM부터 정리하자고 콜이 나와가지고 그리고 일단 오더가 이거 우리 1등이다 라고 이미 말해줬습니다. 그 전부터.
We had ordered that we should attack 4AM first, and that's what happened.
Excellent. I got one more question for you. You are up 2 wins today to start out this tournament. We are in full of a packed house here. How does it feel to play on this stage in front of all these PUBG fans?
지금 벌써 2번 승리하셨는데 이 많은 사람 앞에서 이렇게 대단한 활동을 하시는데 지금 심정이 어떠신지?
솔직히 좀 많이 믿기지가 않습니다. 네.
He says it's still unbelievable.
Excellent. We got some time to really get used to it. Settle in, because the weekend is long. We got more PUBG. Back to you guys.
Shades of OMG. Are we seeing the prelude here to crowning a world champion for 2019? Gen G back to back on a stage like this. Not only back to back on a stage like this, back to back in a tournament where we have broken it down to the top 16 teams in the world, and then they are still dominating the circles. It is crazy to see this kind of start coming out. I'm used to seeing Koreans win video games. This one's doing it well so far.
Rachel said the weekend is long, and I think the Korean translators will be exhausted because these guys are playing incredibly well. Pio, when we came here today, we said, well, Pio's been kind of sleepy leading up to this point. That is not the case. They are leapfrogging the way that they pushed up the flank after making sure they secured the shack. Like, this is next level